Welcome back to the Nose Plays Battlefleet Gothic Armada. So we are going to continue our series of looking at each of the playable factions in skirmish mode today. Today's video will be on Chaos and the Chaos War Fleet. Now, as I've pointed out many times in these videos, if you're looking for high-level play, this is probably not the best place to come. I am just a Warhammer enthusiast. I enjoy the game, and I am moderately successful at strategy games. This is a particular fleet that I have not used extensively, but you can see I've put a little bit of time into a Chaos Captain. I've got myself up to rank 2. I believe there are 8 ranks of renown that you can get, which unlocks your full potential of ships in your fleet. And then each individual ship can level up to level 10, I believe is the max level. So there's a lot of leveling up and a lot of, as you level up the fleets, you get more points unlocked for things like upgrades or skills. And the larger fleets obviously have more of those. So there's a lot more to the game than we currently have. But this will just give you a little taste of what each fleet does, what they look like, and some of the strategies that you might use when you're playing with them. So this is my cruiser. This is the Devastation, Bringer of Armageddon. It's a nice looking cruiser. You can see I've got some nice weapons on it. We're gonna zoom out just a little bit here and highlight some of them. So I have a missile pod turret. Missile pod turrets deal heavy damage. They're pretty strong weapons, but they tend to have shorter ranges than some of the other weapons. Particularly in the Chaos Fleet. So this particular one has a range of 6,000 units, but it has a pretty good chance to do crit damage, and it's a pretty solid weapon. The other nice thing about this weapon is it does have a 270-degree arc of fire, so the only time you won't be able to use this is when the enemy's directly behind you. We also have some ordnance launch bays, so we have some fighter, bomber, and assault boat squadrons that we can launch from these ordnance launch bays and do a variety of different things. Fighter squadrons tend to defend your ships from torpedoes and other enemy aircraft and boarding parties. Bomber squadrons can bypass shields and do significant damage to enemy ships and cause all kinds of havoc to their subsystems. And assault boats do similar things, but I think actually bomber squadrons tend to specifically just deal hull damage, while the assault boats are the ones that can deal damage to the enemy subsystems. So they're kind of like boarding actions. You can temporarily or permanently knock out weapon systems, knock out the ability to use their special orders, and various other things. So it's pretty cool. I also have 3 light cruisers, and the first one is the Hellbringer, the Scream of Injustice. So it's a little bit smaller ship, but you can see we have 2 very strong heavy macro turrets on top, and then on the side we have another ordnance launch bay. So this is also a ship that contains fighters, bombers, and assault boats. And then my other 2 are the Mark II version of the Hellbringer, the Son of Torment. And this one has heavy macro turrets, but it also has a very, very powerful lance battery. Lance batteries are really, really good. You can see the range on these things is extreme at 12,000 units, and we can do a lot of broadside damage with these babies. So that is one of the strategies that we're going to be using. This is just an identical version of the previous one. I wanted 2 of these because they're the cheaper ones. And in the early game, having cheaper ships is nice because you have a very small amount of points, and so you can tend to field more ships if you use the cheaper versions. We also went with a couple of different upgrades. So I have the Augur Disruptors. Once the enemy closes into range, we can actually knock out their sensors for a short period of time, and this allows us potentially to pound them with our lance batteries while they can't really return fire on us. I also went ahead and got the disruption overcharge so that our lances deal 50% more damage to shields, because dealing with shields is annoying. And since lances have a very slow rate of fire, the faster we can knock their shields down, the more damage we can be doing to the hull. You may remember from previous videos and discussing it, lances are very, very good. They are armor piercing, so they always count the enemy armor at 25 instead of whatever its normal value would be. And they're extremely accurate in that they always hit their target. They never miss. So you don't have to worry about accuracy. And they can cause critical damage on any given hit. And they have a reasonable crit chance at 1.25%. That might be related to our crew. Yes, we do have some gunners. So gunners increase the odds of a crit slightly. So that's our fleet currently. Let's go ahead and look at the bigger ship. I took some different skills for this one. This one's only a level 1. I think I've only used it once. But we took the emergency capacitors. This recharges our shields at a much faster rate. So the first time our shields get knocked down, we can go ahead and recharge them really, really quickly. The nice thing about the cruiser class is they have 200 shield capacity, so their shield capacity is much higher than the light cruisers, which only have a capacity of 100 by default. And then the other thing that we took is the void shield transfer. What this allows me to do is it allows me to instantly refill another ship's shields by 100 points by taking a portion of our shields. And so this is going to be kind of a support ship that will help replenish the durability of our other ships, hopefully. Also, our Hellbringer has an auger probe to help uncover enemy units, and automated refueling systems. So our cooldown on our squadrons is 20% reduced, which means we can launch more fighters, more bombers, more assault boats more frequently. All good stuff. One thing that I do want to look at is the potential of getting a favor. Favors cost 400 on these ships and probably 200. Yeah. So we're going to have to at least engage in one battle, but I want to show off the favor system for Chaos before we continue. One other point that I wanted to make, going back a couple of days to the Space Marine video. Space Marines, I've come to understand, have a very unique favor system that's a little bit different than all the other factions. Their favor system is unique in that each favor can only be chosen one time for the fleet, but that favor can actually level up, and I think it levels up with the ship. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but it can level up and the effect of it can get more and more potent. While any of the other factions, you can have multiple Mark of Khorne ships. Each one will get the same benefit, but there's no way to upgrade the benefit, and the benefits compared to what the Space Marines benefits are when they're fully leveled up are not quite as strong. So a unique feature of the Space Marines that we didn't mention that differs from the rest of the factions. But we are going to try and get a favor probably on our light cruiser, the Hellbringer, with the fighters. We'll take a look at the favors in the next time we're back at our base here. So for now, let's go ahead and queue up a battle and see what we get. I've been having moderate success with the Chaos fleet. They're pretty strong. Okay, this is just a basic cruiser clash. You can see we have more fleet points now because we're ranked 2, so we now have access to 300 point battles. So we are the attackers, so we're going to have to play the aggressor. We can't just sit back. So let's think about this. There's no way we can take all 3 of these ships with 300 since they all cost more than 300. We could take the 2 smaller ships and then a bunch of escorts to fill out the rest of our points, but I would really like to get this guy out there and get him some experience. So I think we're going to go ahead and take our cruiser And then both of these ships need to level up. The Imperial Navy does not have particularly strong troops on their ships, and they are susceptible to boarding actions. So maybe using assault boats and fighters will be a good idea this battle. Now, unfortunately, if I do that, I cannot take an escort ship, so maybe I rethink that. Yeah, let's rethink that. Let's go ahead and drop that ship. Let's grab one of these. This one's only a level 2. We want to try to level it up. And that gives us enough points, just barely, to squeeze in a single escort ship. And the escort ship is actually pretty important for us because it allows us to get vision on the enemy when we otherwise might not be able to. So we don't have an auger probe, unfortunately, so we're going to have to use our escort ship wisely to try to reveal the enemy without having it get destroyed. That can be tricky. I do so very much love these cutscenes. They just look so awesome. More so as you get your fleets upgraded and get some of the cool favors. One really exciting thing for me is I'm a big fan of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and Mechanicus are getting their own fleet in Battlefleet Gothic 2, so that'll be really cool to see. Let's just go ahead and deploy dead center here. Let's see how close are we to these? So they're actually closer to these than we are, unfortunately. I don't know that we have a good way to... I don't want to give them the advantage of having the gas clouds to fight in, so maybe we redeploy all the way over here and try to use this gas cloud. I think that's probably the best idea. And then we can put this one out here a little ways, and we'll kind of use him to scout the area in between, and we'll get both of these guys over here in this gas cloud. Alright, I like that so far. Now, as far as auto-deploying, is there anything we want to set up for auto-deploy? I always like to auto-deploy the boarding actions. It's nice to have those just automatically go off for me. Sometimes I'll turn this off because I want to do it to a specific ship. Otherwise it just does it to the first ship that comes in range. Or I might want to try a lightning strike instead if something's out of range. I'm also going to go ahead and set both of these up to auto cast whenever the AI feels it's necessary. But everything else I think we're going to leave. And then for my escort ships, I always like to enable one of these two to autocast, so either lock on or brace for impact, depending on if I want the ship to do damage or just kind of survive as long as possible. Sometimes I'll use running silent to help evade or set up sneaky maneuvers or things like that, but I think for this ship's purpose we mainly just want to keep it alive as long as possible and use it kind of as a scout. I'll also auto do emergency repairs. A lot of times these ships will get fires on board from boarding actions or torpedoes or various other things, and fires are very, very dangerous on small ships like this, and so you can immediately have the AI put the fires out by using the emergency repairs. So sometimes that'll give you a little bit of survivability without having to micromanage those ships too much. Looking at the weapons, so what are we dealing with? We have a range of 6,000 units. Yeah, that's probably good. Just engage at 6,000 units and try to stay away from enemy fire for the most part. These ships, we want them as far away from the enemy as possible. Our lances have a range of 12,000 units, so... And as soon as the battle begins, we're going to go ahead and deploy our fighter squadrons, get those abilities on cooldown, and then maybe even reload to try to get them back up faster. But it depends on where the enemy's at. So let's go ahead and get into the battle. One thing you'll notice about Chaos ships is they are extremely quick. They have some of the fastest straight up movement in the game, even though we're not using our gauge here. Let's get those fighters out.
For the Dark Gods!
We'll go ahead and
reloading ordnance.
So that should shave a few seconds off of those. We do have a ship over here and another one over here. We know that they've deployed 4 ships, so a couple of their ships are probably running silent right now.
Just show us something to kill.
It would be beneficial to us if they were over here and we could engage on this ship before they get a chance to really react.
We are unstoppable.
And I might even run silently here.
Command me.
Do I want bomber squadrons or assault boats? I think we're going to go with assault boats.
Your orders. Ready eternally. Switch to silent running.
He won't be able to...
Tremble, for chaos comes.
Alright, cool.
Just show us something to kill. For the Dark Gods! Your orders! Command me! Moving to those coordinates! Ready eternally! Setting course! Just show us something to kill! We've sighted an enemy ship!
Alright. So our plan didn't quite work out as well as I hoped.
We have sighted an enemy ship!
So we're gonna kind of bounce here.
Your orders! Command me! Cruising speed set! Return to normal function!
You can...
Just show us something to kill!
Yeah.
For the Dark Gods!
We're doing fine. Right,
ready eternally!
Get this ship turned a little bit quicker.
Adjusting rotation!
There we go. Now you see our lance batteries.
Your orders!
I want to deploy these manually this turn if I can, and we want to go ahead and get the shields knocked out of this
Just
ship.
show us something to kill!
That escort ship's about to go down.
We'll follow your command for now.
And we can do a little bit more damage if we stay to the sides of the
Return to normal function. Set engines to full ahead.
Get that ship.
Cruising speed set. Command me.
Alright, so our fighter squadron's
Return
almost
to
up.
normal function. We have sighted an enemy ship.
Get the chaos
For the
assault
Dark
boats.
Gods. Tactical cogitators engaged.
Alright, we've already used that ability. Reload's not very helpful at the moment. Lock on target's not very helpful. Actually,
Locking weapons.
let's lock on target and get both of these guys targeting.
Slaughter them.
I also have this active. Okay, we've got a fire on board. I'm gonna go ahead and put that
Get
out.
that damage repaired at once.
Ah, wrong ship. Dang it.
Return to normal function.
Should have paid attention there.
Just show us something to kill.
I want to try to do as much damage to this ship as I can while their shields are down.
Ready eternally.
And that will give
Your
us
orders.
some time. Alright, their shields are back up, but you can see we knock them down pretty quickly.
Command me!
You know what, we're gonna...
Just show us something to kill! Tactical cogitators engaged!
Well, that's not what I wanted to do at all.
For the Dark Gods! Ready eternally! Boarding attack successful, Master!
Alright.
Cruising speed set. Executing high energy turn.
We're a bigger ship, so we might be able to get...
Cruising speed set.
Alright.
Engines hot.
Alright,
Start the rituals.
we're gonna have to get that ship out of here before it goes down. But I think that's fine. Got one of theirs down.
Your orders. Tear them apart.
Nice. Alright, they're taking off.
Let the galaxy burn. We have sighted an enemy ship.
We could brace for impact, but I don't think we need to at this point. We do want to get this guy off of our flank,
Adjusting rotation.
so I'm going to rotate and
For
try.
the ruinous powers. Executing high energy turn. Tremble, for chaos comes.
He's just sitting right on our... There we go.
We have sighted an enemy ship. Brace!
Alright, so brace for impact reduces the damage we take when our shields are down. Unfortunately, this ship just will not go away.
We are unstoppable. Forward to the slaughter!
I want to try to get out of range
Adjusting rotation.
of the other ship. Come on. Land some hits here.
We'll follow your command for now.
So they've marked us with an auger probe. That's why we have
We've
that
sighted
little
an
bubble
enemy
around
ship.
us.
Tactical cogitators engaged.
Our shields are almost back up, so we're going to be fine. But we want to try to knock out their shields if we can.
Ready eternally.
Their ship is still pretty healthy. We do have the ability to recharge our shields one time
Setting course.
rather quickly, which will be nice.
For the Dark Gods.
But our engines are knocked out, so that is unfortunate. Alright, let's go ahead and activate that. Yeah, good job, bomber squadrons. Got some good damage
Engines
on him.
hot.
Alright, he's trying to catch up to us to close distance.
Moving to those coordinates.
We could potentially...
We have sighted an enemy ship.
Yeah, let's try and get that on there. Generators are
Tremble,
damaged,
for
now their
chaos
shields are down.
comes.
Okay. So that's going to be really good for us.
Break them in mind and
They
body.
don't have any more shields, but we do. Let's go ahead and get assault boats on there.
Engines hot.
I don't have a way to get sight on him, so we're going to have to move in closer. Otherwise, he can shoot on us, but we can't really
We have
attack
sighted
him.
an enemy ship. Locking weapons.
Since we don't have to deal with shields anymore, we're going to go ahead and use weapon lock-on, which increases all kinds of benefits to our accuracy, our damage.
Repair my ship or else.
I'm going to go ahead and repair, and we should be able to win this engagement.
Executing high energy turn.
Turn this thing all the way around and try to get another volley off at the other
We'll
side.
follow your command for now.
You can actually get higher rate of fire by rotating your ship like that.
We are unstoppable. For the ruinous powers.
He's kind of trying to get away. Shooting him from the rear is really beneficial if we can
Set engines to
stay
full ahead.
behind him. There we go. We got this.
Cruising speed set.
And the bombers will finish him off. Victorious. That was nice. Alright, so I get a little caught up and I don't talk as much during some of these videos because I'm not as capable of a real-time strategy player as I probably should be for these. But hopefully I'm demonstrating some of the coolness of the game and one of the reasons why I like it so much. We did get one of our ships leveled up, so that was good. The big one gained a level. The other one did not, and it is lost to the warp, so that's unfortunate. But it didn't get destroyed, so we don't have to spend renown on it at least. The more you have to spend your renown on repairing your ships, the less outfitted you will be once you finally do reach your max level. You can continue to earn renown, but it does cost a lot. So I really wanted to throw a favor on here. So before I spend a bunch of points on updating our devastation, we're going to go ahead and go to favors and take a look at the favors that we have available. So keeping in mind that this is a kind of a long-range ship, let's look at the stats of the weapons and stuff that we are dealing with. So we have some heavy macro turrets which have a range of 9,000 units and a 270-degree arc of fire. We also have a fighter, bomber, and assault boat squadrons which have ranges of approximately 12,000 units, and they can fire in a 360-degree arc. So this is kind of a ship that would prefer to stay at max range and just assist our other ships. It also has the shield recharge rate, and so the less damage that this ship is taking to its shields, the more frequently it can boost the shields of other ships. So let's see if there's any favors that are going to help with that. So Mark of Corn, I'm thinking probably not, but let's see. Demonic Lightning Strike replaces the regular Lightning Strike. Cannot be performed on a ship which still has its shields up. Adds one additional assault action during the Lightning Strike and can only deal temporary critical damages. Demonic Lightning Strike's chances of dealing critical damage to the targeted ship are based on its troop value. Okay, so an extra Lightning Strike. What else do we get? Frenzy. This ship is granted +5 to its troop value. Frenzied soldiers add 1 assault action to boarding actions. This would be good for a ship that likes to get in close, or at least a little closer than the one that we're currently looking at. +5 troop value means you have higher defensive stats against enemy boarding, and the extra boarding action is just an extra roll to do critical damage to the enemy. Both of these are pretty good if you are building a ship that is focusing on assault actions. I don't think that's what this particular cruiser is going to be used for. So let's look at the Mark of Nurgle. Den of Pestilence raises the troop value by 10, so even higher defense against boarding. And Void Locust Cloud Swarm. We have a swarm that kind of surrounds the ship, and enemy ships within 2,500 units of the ship suffer 3 hull damage per second. It does not stack. So again, this is another one of those situations where you get in close to the enemy and you do a bunch of damage to them. I'm not sure that that's what we're looking for. Mark of Slaanesh. Slaanesh Promise. The targeted enemy ship loses its active special order and can't use skills for 30 seconds. This only has a range of 6,000 units, however, but it can be set to auto-launch. So yeah, whenever somebody uses a special order, we can basically cancel it. That's interesting. Special orders can be incredibly powerful. There are definitely some synergies with special orders and some of the upgrades and skills. And so if you recognize a ship has a particular synergy, and for lock on, for instance, that's a common one, you can shut it down, but that's a lot of micro management. Siren of Slaanesh. Enemy ships within 7,500 units have insubordination chances increased. That can be useful. That would be greatly useful against orcs, I would think, since they have the highest chance to run away to begin with. Let's look at the final favor that we can get. So, Winds of Change. Radius of 5,000, and replaces the silent running special order and creates kind of a cloud gas field area around the ship, so we can actually hide our fleet. That has some potential. The ability to hide our fleet. Since we do move faster than the enemy ships, if we do focus on knocking out their engines, we can eventually just kind of stay out of their range and bombard them. And then the second one is Warp Signature Echo. Allows the ship to create an unidentified decoy in any direction around it. The decoy moves in a straight line and can be sent 360 degrees around the ship. The decoy moves at a speed the ship which it launched it. A button above the Echo allows the ship to switch places. That's interesting. The decoy will disappear after 60 seconds, or if the ship or Echo is revealed by the enemy. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I guess you have to be out of sight in order to really use it effectively, but it does allow you to pull some shenanigans, perhaps. Well, of all of the marks that we're looking at so far, this one probably is the one that's going to benefit us the most. The ability to create our own gas cloud where we don't have one for our ships is pretty powerful. Demonic Lightning Strike's not bad. Lightning Strike is probably going to be our preferred assault action as we try to keep range on enemy ships. I don't see this ship using that one. And I don't see me being micro intensive enough to use this, although we can auto set it so it'll just disable the first order that they try to pop. But I think we're going to go ahead and go with this one. So the cool part about these favors is that they change the pattern of the ship slightly, or sometimes dramatically, depending on which one you take. And every single one of these has a unique look. Now the downside is it replaces the paint scheme that you have naturally, so depending on your warband, it will replace your standard paint scheme, and there is no variation in these. They all look pretty much the same. So every ship that I put the Mark of Zeech on, it'll still have its basic same ship shape and weapons and everything, but the coloring and some of the well, you'll see when I go ahead and do this. So we're going to go ahead and pay for that. And now you can see we have some Zeechiness going on, but it's very, very cool looking. Oh wow, I like that purple and the cool towers. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Check it out. Wow, I don't think I've ever actually seen or examined this one up close before. It's really cool looking. I'm very happy with that. So hopefully we'll get a chance to use that ability in our next battle. And we have a few points left over, so let's see if we can afford any upgrades. We can. Upgrades are going to cost 100, so we can only afford one. I think the upgrade that's most pressing whenever you're dealing with a ship that has fighters is the ability to refresh those fighters and get them back out as quickly as possible. So we're going to go ahead and fit the automated refueling systems, which will give us 20% more fighters per engagement. And by fighters, I mean fighters, bombers, assault boats. Warp talons. This makes our fighters more effective by not getting shot down as easily when they approach enemy ships, so they actually get a chance to deal damage. I think this is a really strong crew member to put points into, so we're going to go ahead and do that for now. And that basically uses up all of our points. I think I have time for one more battle, so I want to show off this new ship and maybe use our new special ability, and then we'll call it an evening. Okay, this is a new mission type. So once you reach rank 2, you'll start to see new mission types. One of the mission types is breakthrough. So breakthrough involves a blockade in part of space that is critical to keep system under control. A set of defensive platforms materialize the choke point of the conflict. And so basically what we have to do in this particular role is we are the defender. So it implies holding on long enough, protecting targets, or fleeing the battlefield. So I'm trying to remember, if we're the defender, that means we have the platforms, I think. And we're trying to defend the platforms from the enemy, which have to destroy the platforms before they can retreat. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. We are going to take our Hellbringer. You might remember our other ship was lost in the warp, so we don't actually have access to it. But we do have access to the battle cruiser. And I actually think that this might be what we want to do. In this particular situation, if we are defending platforms, having an extra escort ship's not going to be all that useful, but having more fighters that we can deploy to help take down torpedoes or other enemy bombers will be very useful. Unfortunately, in this particular mission, I'm not sure how we're going to use our cloud ability, but it might work. So we're going to go ahead and ready this up. Beautiful. Look at that ship. Gorgeous. Ah, those macro turrets on top look sweet. Alright, so yeah, defend the platforms, repel the enemy. The platforms do actually have some defensive capabilities. They will fire on the enemy, and they do have shields and health themselves. This is another situation where our deployment zone is not on the edge of the map, as it is in many, and it looks like we just have 2 platforms to defend. The enemy's going to have to destroy both of these platforms and then try to leave the sector through the back of the map, so they're going to have to get at least one ship all the way over here. Now, unfortunately for us, Eldar are some of the fastest, most maneuverable ships in the game, but fortunately for us, we have some of the fastest ships in the game, so we're one of the few fleets that can actually run down an Eldar potentially if they do start to get away from us. I think what we're going to do is just deploy one of these in front of each platform, like so, and we'll just kind of go from there. I'm going to go ahead and activate fighter squadrons for both of these. Initially, we may switch that up eventually. Yeah, I'm not sure about these abilities right now. This one might come in handy where if I'm trying to chase an Eldar down, I can create a decoy that's closer to them than I am and then use it to swap spaces. So that might be useful in this engagement. I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull it off, but another cool thing that's something I haven't pointed out yet, Eldar have different shielding than most of the other factions. Their shields work differently. I think I mentioned it. But one of the neat things is, for us, is that their shields do not defend against lightning strikes. So most of the time you have to knock an enemy's shields down before you can use a lightning strike. But against the Eldar, that is not the case. So we're going to actually activate the lightning strike on both of our ships. I'm also going to auto select both of those. And let's go ahead and see what they send our way.
Tactical cogitators
Let's
engaged!
get these fighters out. Assault actions are pretty strong.
Just show us something to kill!
So that should deploy our fighters. Yeah, there they go. And fighters, once they're deployed, will stay and defend the ship until they're all destroyed. So even if I launch another set of units out after the fighters have been deployed, if any of them are still alive, they will continue to defend the ship.
Return to normal function!
Alright, looks like there's three units currently.
Ready eternally!
We're going to go ahead and give them our broadside here.
Command me! Your orders! We've sighted an enemy ship!
Alright, cool. So you can see this is their shielding, and as they stop moving, it will slowly
We've
deplete.
sighted an enemy ship!
This is their big
Tactical
boy.
cogitators engaged!
What do we want to knock out? Probably their engines. If we can knock out their engines, they're going to have a much harder time getting around.
Return to normal function! Setting course!
Alright, did that thing literally just destroy itself?
We have sighted an enemy ship!
I'm not really sure.
Tactical cogitators engaged!
I'm not really sure what's happening there, but... Okay, you can see they dart around like that, like crazy.
Command me! Just show us something to kill!
Let's get these assault
For the
boats.
dark gods! Setting course! Locking weapons!
Alright, we're doing good damage to them, but it's kind of being
For
split
the
up.
ruinous powers!
They're gonna take this one down, and that's probably okay. I'm gonna use my speed boost to try to get over here.
Forward to the slaughter!
This guy's almost dead. Yeah, with a fire on board, we might be able to just take
Cruising
him
speed
out.
set! Chaos defeat platform destroyed!
Alright, so one of their
Engines
ships is
hot.
gone.
Adjusting rotation! Just show us something to kill!
Let's try to get a little bit closer.
For the ruinous powers!
We want to take out their engines if we can. I thought I already set that up, but
Ready eternally!
I think we're gonna survive. They're very susceptible to assault actions.
Your orders! Executing high energy turn!
Yeah, he's trying to escape. Let's see if I can get another broadside
Ready
shot.
eternally!
I think we got it. Yeah! Alright. So that platform went down to half health. You can see the fire doing some damage over time on that. Fires are really dangerous against things that don't have a lot of health, and even things that do. Having those repair actions queued up to put fires out is pretty critical. We leveled up our ship again, so that was pretty cool, and scored almost 200 points of renown, so another victory for Chaos. So the way that this skirmish thing works is you literally just get a random mission every time. The only thing that really changes over time is the number of points that you get to use in deployment, and the size of the battles gets significantly larger. And that's why I said I really kind of enjoy these early game skirmishes where you have the smaller number of points and a few not superly overpowered ships that don't take forever to kill. When you get into the later game, the ships are so big and have so much health that a lot of times the battles can drag on for significantly longer than they do in the early game. Obviously, when you have a fleet of, 7 or 8 ships that are all like fully maxed out, that engagement can take a little longer. Those ships survive better, they have a lot more tools at their disposal, but they also have a lot more firepower, so it does kind of balance itself out. But there's just a lot more going on, a lot more micromanaging, and that's definitely not my strength, as you've already seen me crash my ships into each other on occasion and do all kinds of goofy things. So, but I just love this game. I love tall ship combat. I'm not a huge fan of Chaos, but I'll tell you what, after playing with them the last couple of days a little bit, they're kind of growing on me. I see the appeal for sure. Especially if you like to use a long-range, kitey, fightery type of a fleet. And I have to admit, that paint job on the Favor was really sweet. So, but we're going to wrap it up for today. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. Next time, we're going to pick up the Tau, and we'll save the Eldar for last. So I've got 2 more of these to do before I wrap up this series. And then hopefully we'll be into September and I'll have for sure release date. Although I did see something recently that said that the release date was pushed back to October. That's not clear. On the Steam page it still says a release date of September, so I'm not sure if that's an official thing that's happened where the release date for Gothic 2 has been pushed to October or not. It would make sense if it has, because there just hasn't been enough game footage and content building up to September for it to be released, but you never know. I'm hopeful that it will release at the end of September at least. That would be really cool. And you can see we've reached level 3, so we've unlocked some new stuff, and this is kind of what happens as you rank up. You get more mission types, you get more slots, so we might get another, we unlocked another light cruiser slot, so we can have 1 more light cruiser if we want to pay the renown for it. And we get some new mission types, so the 400 point cruiser clash is available. Data recovery is a really frustrating mission. Assassination is a mission where you basically have to defend 1 ship from being destroyed, and if you can survive for X amount of time you can jump out, but you have to stay in for that timer. Basically your warp drives are being jammed and you can't escape until you've managed to be on the field for so many minutes. So it's pretty tough. But there's a lot of different ones, and you just get a random battle every time you skirmish. The nice thing is, even when you lose, you earn renown points, so even if you're like you get a bad matchup, just jump your ships out, try to prevent them from taking too much damage so you don't have to spend all your renown points repairing them. And you lose the battle, but you still gain some renown, your ships are still intact for the next fight. So we might have to demonstrate that a little bit more, but you saw me try to jump my ship out earlier to prevent me from having to pay for repairs, and so that's something you definitely want to consider doing if you want to try to upgrade your ships more quickly. The downside to letting your ships get destroyed really is it just takes longer to upgrade everything because you have to wait for them to get repaired. But you don't have to repair them, so you could just wait for them to get repaired naturally, but most of the time you're going to want to take some of your better ships into these fights. So, but that's where we're going to end the video for today. We're going to end it with one last look at my beautiful Zeech favored ship. I really like the way that looks. Oh, that's just sweet. And yeah. So good job, everybody. Another successful day in the world of chaos. And this has been the Nose Plays. You guys have a great evening.